Welcome to day 8 of Better by the Day, the series where we try to get better every day. Today I want to talk about momentum and the idea of getting momentum and having momentum and really unpacking, what is momentum? Because over the past few days I've started to feel momentum in the things I'm doing. I'm starting to feel a sense of progress, but I was thinking, is momentum a external thing that's caused by external progress, or is it more an internal feeling or state that results in external progress? And so I think the best way to think about momentum in life is like surfing on a wave. Because first of all, at a high level, momentum, it comes and goes. It's a bit like motivation. It comes and goes. And so it's similar to surfing in that, if you go surfing, you need to paddle out into the ocean to get to the point that the wave is. And so that's kind of like the periods in life where there is lacking momentum or lacking motivation. And you need to, fight against the current to force progress. But after a period of time, you get out there and then the wave comes and it pushes you forward. And so momentum feels a lot like surfing a wave. When you're on it, things are moving, you want to make the most of it. But then there's these periods when you maybe don't feel like that, and it's more a manual labor or high effort input required to get moving. So it's kind of how I think about momentum at a high level, but then looking at, is it an external thing? Meaning, am I seeing external progress and that's why I feel momentum? Or is it more an internal thing? And so if I start with externally, I can see slight progress, but not huge amounts. And so going back to the surfing analogy, it is quite a bit like when you're surfing, when you can see a wave coming, or more you can feel a wave coming. The water kind of moves slightly. The wave's not here yet, but you can feel it. And that's the time you start paddling. And so I would say externally, momentum is caused by slight changes or small progress. But I would say the main cause of momentum is internally, meaning how you feel. And so then what causes that? Well, I think it's a combination of things. Number one, again, like surfing, it typically comes after a period of challenge or a period of stagnation or a period of some sort of period of extended effort. Basically, a time that you can look back on and say, okay, I got through that. I think that's an important piece of momentum, is to, first of all, identify where you are and where you've been and acknowledge that you're still able to keep moving forward. But it's not just that. The other thing is the actions that you're taking. And so, to get an external result, it requires consistent action and discipline over an extended period of time. But in the early stages of that, you can still see that those actions are being taken. And then you can, predict where that will take you. And I think this ties a bit into belief or self-belief or self-confidence. And I think a big piece that many people miss when they're thinking of belief or confidence is they try to trick themselves. They try to act as if they are a thing or they believe something, yet there's no evidence to suggest that. It would be like if you tried to tell yourself you're a disciplined person, but every morning or every night you say you're going to wake up in the morning and go for a run, but you never do it. So in that situation, you can say you're something, but the evidence suggests otherwise. And I don't think you can trick your brain. I think your brain is watching what you're doing. And so if you actually want to believe something about yourself, there needs to be some evidence there. If you want to believe that you're a kind person, you need some evidence of, in this situation I was kind, and in that situation I was kind. Without that, you're just being delusional to yourself, which I think a lot of people do. That they try to act or pretend as if they're a thing, but there's no action or evidence or behavior that would suggest that is the case. So if we combine those two things, you've got a period of extended endurance through a challenging time, or not even a challenging time, just a extended period of time that you've been consistent through. And then with that, now the correct actions, which externally may be slightly leading to small external results. But I think it's those pieces, that recipe, that combines together to create momentum. And then once you have it, is the time to really double down on it to keep moving forward and ride that wave. Because you can be aware of the fact that momentum is something that comes and goes like a wave. And so when you've got it, you need to make the most of it. But you also need to work to get it if you don't have it. And so if you're someone who's waiting for momentum or motivation to start something, I think that's the wrong approach, because there needs to be that effort, there needs to be that extended period of time, there needs to be the right actions before you start to feel the momentum. And so sometimes, you're doing the right things and it's a challenge, just like when you're swimming out or paddling out when you're surfing. The waves are crashing into you and you're ducking under them and going over them, and it's effort and it's hard, but then you get to the point that you can turn the board around and face shore, and then you start to feel the water moving, and then you continue paddling. You work with the momentum, because if you don't, you won't catch the wave. So you need to continue and maintain that effort, doing the right actions, and then when you're on the wave, ride it as far as it goes, and then the process repeats. I guess as a side note to be aware of, or as a reflection on the times in the past where I've felt momentum, I think something that I've failed to do in the past is harness momentum in one area and divert it into other areas. And so let's say you're feeling momentum in your business. Well, then instead of just doubling down on just business and maybe, spending less time on your health or less time with friends or, less time in other areas of your life, in your relationships or whatever it is, instead of doing that, which is a mistake I've made in the past, using that momentum in one area and channeling it into the other areas. And so if you're feeling momentum in one part of your life, maybe it's your health, then maintaining that, but also putting that into other areas, trying to improve your relationships, trying to improve your business or work better at your job or your social connections, trying to improve those different areas with the momentum you've got in one, because by doing that, you then gain momentum in other areas, in a number of areas. And with that, then if one area starts to stagnate out, because you've got the momentum in the other areas, you can then harness that into the area that's lacking. And so it creates this feedback loop of momentum in one area goes to another area, and then another and another. And then now you've got 4 or 5 times the momentum across different aspects of your life. And then when one starts to drop, you can harness the momentum from the other 3 or 4 areas to get momentum back into that first area. And so you're kind of channeling or diverting this momentum so that your overall life is maintaining a steady course of progress. And so I guess to summarize momentum, number 1, if you don't have it, keep paddling, keep working on it, do the right actions, don't try to trick yourself, don't tell yourself you're doing well if you're not, don't say you're consistent if you're not, don't say you're disciplined if you're not. Do the actions, prove it to yourself, because you can't trick your brain. And then when you start to feel it, maintain that, but also don't fall into the trap that I've fallen into in the past of getting tunnel vision on just one area and excluding the others. There's been times when I've been feeling momentum in business and I've stopped exercising or stopped eating well or stopped seeing friends. And so you want to harness that momentum, channel it into all areas of your life, because then when that momentum in one area will start to dwindle, you can utilize the momentum you've built, the reservoirs of momentum you've built in those other areas back into that original place and maintain it longer.